Hi guys, sorry I couldn't be there today, but I did want to kind of make this short video talking about this assignment that I want you to start working on today, and you'll have next week as well on your own outside of class to work on it too. But I did want you to at least get started on it. So there's a couple things you can do if you're really lost and confused about what I'm asking you to do today. That way you're not kind of losing out on time. And then obviously we can talk more about it on Tuesday. But yeah, so what you're basically designing is what I call a roller coaster chart. The roller coaster chart is centered around the idea of how self-rule evolved, changed, altered, all those things during the colonial period. So a couple things here really quickly. There's the research prep work side of this. I'll show it to you in just a second, but on Canvas, I have a document uploaded for you that has a list of events or concepts, mainly events, from the colonial period. They're in random order, so you'll have to figure out what is the correct order, and that is part of your rubric. But yeah, step one is make sure you understand what the event was, what happened, things like that. So how do you figure out these things? One, we covered a lot of them in class, so you should have a pretty good sense just based on our notes and readings. You can use the internet, but I do want to put a very serious caution on this. Students in the past have gone to the internet and found information. They then put it on their chart and then attempt to copy and paste it into the final product. What that typically means is, or what it does mean is, plagiarism. So here's my thing. Use the sources you think best fit your needs. However, and I'm going to stress this, whatever you wind up putting on your final product has to be in your own words. Every year, several students don't bother doing that last step, and they get caught for plagiarism, and they get a 0 on a fairly simple, straightforward assignment, but also something pretty early on in the year that has a pretty detrimental impact on their grade. All right, so step one is doing the research. The sheet you need, let me show it to you. I've got it right here. Switching screens. Looks like this. As you can see, this is the list of events right here. All right. I gave you space to summarize the main ideas, but over here, let's talk about what I mean by scale of self-rule. So does this event or thing represent an example where the colonists were really ruling themselves, or is this something where we saw the British beginning to really impose their will on the colonists? So I don't know. I'm not requiring you to do this on the final product, but maybe put on a scale of 1 to 10 just to kind of give you a sense of how much. So maybe something's really low in terms of self-rule, or something's really high, maybe kind of in the middle. A lot of it depends on what you learn or know about the event and putting in some context. All right, so also on this sheet of paper, just so you know, and this handout is what I want you to download off of Canvas, is kind of a step-by-step requirement of what needs to be in the final product, and I will show you how to make it shortly, and then the rubric. So in addition to designing this chart, you will put at the very end of it a reflection telling me, all right, as a period, how would we describe the self-rule of the colonies? That is a kind of nuanced question. It requires you to have a thesis / argument to provide evidence, aka events or concepts from the period that illustrate your point, and then clearly explain why they're backing you up. So it's kind of like a mini essay, if that helps you kind of wrap your head around expectations. All right, so the last thing I want to do is I want to talk to you about how to actually make the roller coaster chart. So you're going to go to Padlet, Padlet.com. You can register for Padlet. Let me show you there's a lot of different options in terms of what you create, and I want to show you specifically which one to do. That way there is no confusion. But again, if today you focus on the research side of this, understandable, and then we can do maybe the technology side of this a little bit more on Tuesday. But I don't want you to feel like you're behind on it. All right, so after you've signed up for Padlet, you should see a button in the corner that says Make Padlet. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it right now. All right, and then what it's doing is going to give me a series of options. And the one I want to click right here is Canvas. All right. And then it's going to start my Padlet. All right, cool. So it gives you a default background. I don't know why it gave me trees, but you can change it. So that's what all those settings up here are. So make a background that is pleasant to my eye, please. All right, just make something that is easy to read. All right, so then I'm going to go ahead and get started on this. And so what I want to do now, here's I'm going to move my picture. And you see this plus sign down here? So I'm going to go ahead and hit Add Post. So now what's going to happen is I'll move myself again out of the way. I will put a title. So in the case of for this assignment, you would put the name of an act. So I'll put the NOHAD Act. All right, so that's the headline. You might even put the year. All right. And then underneath here, you can type out a description. So in your chart, you will be giving me the name of the act and the year. And they will be going, this is like a timeline. So they have to be going in proper sequence across, right? So again, up to you to make sure you do your research properly. So down here, you're going to type out, obviously I'm not doing anything right now, a description of what the event was. So show me you understand what the event was. All right, then I'm going to hit publish. And it's going to appear over here. And now you can see I can manipulate. So here's the thing. This is the thing that confuses kids. So like I said, the timeline is going to move across like this. So you'll have lots of events running that way. What makes this a roller coaster chart is because you can move these things up and down, you're going to kind of put them on the y-axis in terms of how much self-rule they had. So if you felt this was an example of really high self-rule, you're going to slide it right up there. If you think it was middle, right here. If you think it was low, down here. And you can even see, you can even make it more exaggerated if you scroll down or up. All right, so you really have some flexibility there. All right, so that you've added an event. Let's add another event. All right, I'm going to say the No Dancing Act of 1665. I think we all know who's responsible for this. That's right, Kevin Bacon. All right, so I'm going to publish it. Now, I've got another event, and as you can see, I can move it like this. So again, that's how you're going to build that timeline across. Now, the last thing I want you to do right now, or the next thing I want to show to you, is you get to connect it to a post. So what I've just done is I've taken the NOHAD Act and the No Dancing Act and connected them. And so I can do this. All right, so for every one of the events, you need to connect them together with lines and send them across the screen. And so when you're done, you figured all this stuff out, that reflection, just make one last post for the very end, call it reflection, and then type what you would put in that. I'm hoping this makes some sense. Again, if you're really confused by the technology, we can talk about it next week. But at the very least, you should be getting the research started today. You do have a week to get it done, but procrastination can be kind of a detriment on something like this because the work and the readings don't stop anyway. All right, well, thanks for coming. I apologize for being out. My daughter is sick today. And my hope is that you guys can use this day and be very productive. I know it's 4 o'clock on a Friday, but the work does not stop even in my absence. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, send me a message through Parent Square.